What makes me tick? It's a difficult question for people to answer, and I'm going to try to explain why. But why do I do what I do? What gets me up in the morning? What moves me forward? And one thing it's not is money. I realized early on I'm not driven by money, not motivated by money. Money's important. Money is necessary to pay the bills, but money's not how I keep score, like some people. And some people are gifted in that, and I'm not one of them. So what does make me tick? What's important to me? And my dad, he always said, son, every man's got to have a little dream, and he's got to have a reason to get up in the morning. And he saw that coming when he was about a little younger than my age. He was an executive for a large oil corporation, and saw the writing on the wall when the company was about to be taken over, and he was given what he called the golden shove. Upper level executives that were close to retirement were encouraged to retire, take either their lump sum or their payments. And he said, I took lump sum, I took it all because I didn't know Monday morning if I would have a job or not. But he was smart enough to observe men around him that he worked with and worked for, that they slowly began to decline, and in some cases quickly decline, and died within 6 months of retirement because they didn't have anything to do. They weren't motivated. They didn't know why they got up in the morning. And my dad decided roses were going to be his thing. That was one of the things that was going to get him up out of bed and create beauty in this world. And he was the type that didn't complain, why are there thorns among the roses? But instead he took the tack of, how on earth did these roses, these beautiful roses, grow among the thorns? And that was what delighted him. And hundreds of bushes around his rose garden, and I delighted in walking through it every time I came to visit. But every man's got to have a little dream. Every man's got to have a reason to get up. And so what is mine? Why do I get up in the morning? Well, I'm going to start that explanation by describing a religious experience that I had when I was 17. And some people would say, oh, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. And I get that, I think. But a person can still be a spiritual asshole and not just a religious one. So whatever you want to call it, religious, spiritual, when one has an encounter with the supernatural, with the divine, it's life-changing. So call it whatever you will. So I had a little religious, spiritual experience that turned out to be not so little when I was 17. And I came to an awareness of my maker. I looked around and realized there's got to be something intelligent designing this place and me. Why am I thinking this way if there's not an origin story to it? And I'm too much of a gambler to believe that it happens by chance, because when I went through my gambling phase, and I loved the thrill of throwing the dice at the craps table, I was still a loser because the odds were not in my favor. And I felt the same thing. There's no way that odds are not in favor of all of this coming out randomly and by chance. And when I came to that awareness and conclusion, and I surrendered to that. And I said, I want to follow you, and I want to do what you want me to. And my life suddenly changed. I had an immediate awareness of my Maker. It was eerie. Before that, I hated being alone. I would drown out I would drown out the thoughts of fear with music. I hated silence and I hated being alone. And now, when I was alone, I had a very strong sense that someone was with me. And I have come to refer to that one as the advocate or the Spirit. I didn't know what to do with that fully, and so I trusted older mentors to guide me in that new discovery. And I would say they did the best they could, but they guided me to a very small language and a very small God. One who was angry a lot, one who wanted my submission, one who wanted me to get in line. And the problem was that was exactly how I was raised. Shin, sit down and shut up. Sit down and shut up. And I never really had teachers, leaders, or mentors that recognized that, let's see what's inside this young man's heart. And over time, I began to grow in this new understanding. And I realized I can't imagine that's who the one is. And if I can conceive it, I'm pretty sure I have it wrong, because finite little me in my smallness, trying to grasp the magnitude of the one who set this universe into place, I'm most likely going to get it wrong. But when I started understanding the pictures that were given to us in Scripture, pictures like Father, Shepherd, Great Physician, Son of Man, these were all metaphors to help us grab hold of some concept of who this one is. And is God man? No. Is God Father? Start there. Who is this one? Well, start with Father and work your way up. And that's the metaphor that the Son of Man used often to refer why he came, what made him tick. Well, I have come to reveal the Father. Because if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And it's easy to say that he had a very different perspective than we do. Isaiah 55 says, "My thoughts are not your thoughts, declares the Lord. Neither are your ways my ways. My ways are higher than yours, and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts." But I've always been shown that as a scolding, not as an invitation. Come up and think like I do. See what I see. Consider what I consider. And I would say the biggest movement toward understanding why I tick came about 6 years ago with another religious experience. And I was going through some very significant therapy work. And my therapist introduced me to an assessment called the Enneagram. And the Enneagram is just like Myers-Briggs, Strength Finder, Predictive Index. It's a tool to assess personality and motive. But what I loved about the Enneagram more than any of that other was it focused on two core issues. One is what is my deepest longing, and two, what is my deepest fear? What is it that I yearn for? And then what is it that I'm terrified of? And that began to put years and years of pieces together for me, because I found in this assessment that the category of 4 made sense to me, because the 4 is the one who's the individualist. The 4 often wonders, what's wrong with me? And I always had that growing up. Why am I different? Why am I always getting in trouble? Why can't I just fall in line? And when it came time to graduate high school and pick majors, oh, you should do this because it's a good job, you'll make good money. Well, money was not why money is not what makes me tick. So I did not have any counsel or guidance at that point to say, you should probably pursue something that is creative and that allows you to be expressive in that. And I started realizing that what I was feeling was normal and natural for those of us who identify in this way, that we're different for a reason, not because that we're odd or not because that we're weird. I call it blue hair different or idea different. Some people need to stand out, and so they dye the hair blue and cut it into a mohawk. I want to be seen, and that's part of our human nature is wanting to be seen. But deeper than that, I want to matter. I want to be idea different. And that assessment helped me start to make sense of why I look at the world the way I do, and why did I have a religious experience at age 17 that I carry with me even to this day? What is the importance of that? Well, slowly I started to embrace that maybe I'm not, maybe there's nothing wrong. Maybe I actually have a gift, and that not being motivated by money is actually a gift. And that gift is, can I see beauty in the world and can I reflect it? Because that, I believe, is the heart of the artist. The question C.S. Lewis asked in The Great Divorce is, how does one create beauty in heaven when everyone sees beauty? But on earth, the artist catches a glimpse of heaven and expresses it in his or her work. And that's the beauty and role of art. And in my case, writing, and in cooking, and in music. I have a little glimpse of heaven that I want to try to bring to earth. And what is that glimpse? What is it that I see that's different? That's why I had to leave the ministry. That's why I had to leave the church as we know it, because it was enamored by rules, not by freedom and glory and wonder and awe. And I describe my decision to leave the ministry as I parted ways with the marketing department, and I got to join the art department. Because faith for me growing up was just about sales and marketing. How many souls can you save? How many baptisms did we have this year? How many conversions? How many rededications? It was all like, it was a sales chart. And I can't live that way. That's not what faith is to me. Faith is being sure of what I hope for and certain of what I can't see, not all the numbers that I do see. So the artist paints from his or her glimpse of heaven. And I started to realize maybe I have a glimpse that nobody else has seen yet. And that's why I came up with my mission of writing. I want to use my voice to help you hear yours. Because I've seen and have spoken of beauty that I hope you will get to see also. But the more important thing is not that you hear it from me, but that you see it yourself. Because true religion, true spirituality, true change comes from your discovery, not mine. I might help you and assist you in growing and understanding, but what's got to happen at the end of the day, it's got to come from your heart. It's got to come from who you are. And if you're following a voice that doesn't make sense, stop and go the other direction. The advice I give young parents who are struggling with their toddler, their strong-willed toddler, or their shy toddler, or their belligerent toddler, or their mild toddler, I remind them, Mom, Dad, that's who the child is. At that age, that's who they are. And your job is not to break that. Your job is to understand that, see it, and mold it and shape it. Because that child might be like me, different. But the adults in my life didn't know what to do with it. And so the best way they knew how is to tell me to sit down and shut up. Thankfully, I got over that when I grew to be a man and began to understand who I am. Who am I uniquely? And if that indeed is a gift, who benefits from me not developing that gift? I think of the character of Joseph in the Old Testament. He had a gift. He was different. And Daniel was different. But they dealt with their differences two very different ways. Joseph blabbered out and couldn't keep his mouth shut. It got him in trouble. Granted, it led to good things. But Daniel, he saw things nobody else got to see, and he kept his mouth shut until the right time. And that's the important thing about being a four that I have learned to embrace is I look at the world differently. And I look at it because it's a gift. It's not a burden. But I have to learn to hold that gift with humility and patience, because there will come a time when that gift is necessary. And so it's important, like what I feel like I'm doing now is honing that gift by writing and writing and writing and writing and writing for the last 6 years. Trying to hone that gift so that it can be opened by somebody like you who will read my voice and my words, and all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, I can hear myself now. That's what I sound like. And now you don't need my words because you have your voice and your words. And the world needs that. The world needs to see what you see. The world needs to hear what you hear. But to get there, you've got to learn how to speak. And I trust you will. And I trust that this has moved somebody. Somebody watching this right now think, that's me. Oh my gosh. And I look forward someday to knowing who you are. Thanks for listening.